Hello everyone. So in this video we are going to talk about pancreas. So when I say pancreas, we are mainly going to discuss on what is called as glucose homeostasis. So how blood glucose level is maintained, what are the hormones involved, and that is going to be the objective of this session. So in this picture I have shown the pancreas. So pancreas, if you take, it's an endocrine organ, right? So when I say it is an endocrine, we mean to say that we have got two parts of it. One is your exocrine, another one is your endocrine. So this exocrine, that is which is concerned with your secretions, it constitutes about 98% of the gland. That is about 98% of pancreas is going to be involved in the exocrinal aspect, meaning there is going to be secretion of pancreatic enzyme, and about remaining 2% is your endocrine. So these kind of statements can be asked in the questions like which of the following statements are true with respect to pancreas, something like that. So you should know about 1 to 2% of the pancreas is only concerned with your endocrine, and that too it is made up of a specialized type of cell that is called as islets of Langerhans. So the picture that is shown here, it is actually depicting islets of Langerhans, and which in turn it contains about 1 to 2 million cells. So you should know this rule of 1 to 2. So 1 to 2% is going to be the endocrinal part of pancreas, and in that 1 to 2% we have some cells called as islets of Langerhans, which in turn contains 1 to 2 million cells. So what are the different types of cells that makes up islet of Langerhans? Is we have got three types of cells. One is called as the alpha cell, another one is called as the beta cell, another one is called as the delta cell. So alpha cell, it is concerned with secretion of an hormone, and that is called as glucagon. Beta cell is concerned with an hormone secretion that is called insulin, which is a very important hormone. And delta cell, it is concerned with an hormone called as somatostatin. This somatostatin, it is not given in our NCERT textbook, but its role is to be understood in detail, not for your need, just for your knowledge. I am just telling you in short. This somatostatin is in turn going to control the secretion of glucagon and then insulin. So if I depict it as a triad, these three hormones as a triad, you will be able to understand. So just see, this is glucagon, that is the source from alpha cells. This is insulin, and this is insulin, and this is somatostatin. So if we appreciate the functioning of these three hormones, glucagon and insulin, they have got an opposite effects, right? So this somatostatin is said to exhibit an inhibitory effect on both of these hormones. Okay, so that is the importance of that delta cells. It's not covered in our NCERT textbook, but it is good to know. Okay, so we are just in the initial points. Now getting on to a topic, that is glucose homeostasis. So this picture is more than enough to understand glucose homeostasis. So for NEET, what are the questions possible? The first question they can ask you is which of the following is an hyperglycemic hormone? So you should know what is the hyperglycemic hormone. And next one, which of the following is an hypoglycemic hormone? So examiner's favorite question, like in the calcium homeostasis, we have seen, right, what is an hypercalcemic and an hypocalcemic. Here we are going to see what is an hyperglycemic and an hypoglycemic hormone. So hyperglycemic hormone, which means hormone that is going to increase the blood glucose level, right? Hyper, more, glycemic. So if you observe this picture, we have got the following organs. We have got a liver, we have got muscle, here we have pancreas. Okay, so we are just going to understand through this picture how the glucose is handled. Now, following diet. Okay, so you have had a heavy lunch. Okay, say suppose you have gone to some North Indian restaurant, you have had two thalis and all that. So after a diet, okay, so following diet, there is going to be increased glucose levels. So understand, whenever there is increased blood glucose levels, the hormone that is going to come into action is your insulin. Okay, so even if you take in diabetic patients, you would have heard of people taking injections, right? Insulin injections. And no, you would have also heard people saying, I have got some insulin deficiency and all that. So whenever there is increased blood glucose level in a normal physiology, the insulin hormone is going to come and it is going to decrease the blood glucose to the normal levels. So the hormone which is referred to as an hypoglycemic hormone, that is insulin. So insulin is an hypoglycemic hormone. So you will see how it accomplishes its function. So I hope you all know the 4 processes that are concerned with your glucose homeostasis. So as far as glucose homeostasis is concerned, you should be thorough with 4 processes. What are those processes is, one is called as glycolysis. One is called as glycolysis. Another one, so the first one is your glycolysis. Second one is your gluconeogenesis. So these are the 4 processes that you must know. I'm just listing few processes. Third one is your glycogenesis. And fourth one is your glycogenolysis. So these are the 4 processes. So first one is your glycolysis. Next one is your gluconeogenesis. Third one is your glycogenesis. Fourth one is your glycogenolysis. So now we need to understand the aspect now. See, there is glucose molecule, right? Now, in what ways this glucose can be reduced? Okay, so I need to know, convert this glucose into some other form so that my blood glucose levels are going to decrease. So which means I need to break down this glucose molecule into 2. Okay, so I am basically trying to utilize this glucose molecule, meaning I am trying to break down. So I can either break down the glucose molecule into pyruvate, and that process is called as glycolysis. Okay, so when the glucose molecule is broken down to pyruvate molecule, then that process is called as glycolysis. Or else I can convert it and store it in the concerned part. So you all know the storage form of glucose in the humans is going to be glycogen, and since there is synthesis of glycogen, I call it glycogenesis. So these 2 processes, if you observe, glycolysis, glycogenesis, it is mainly concerned with utilization of glucose, meaning reducing the blood glucose level, that is giving an hypoglycemic state. So hormone insulin is concerned with glycolysis and glycogenesis. So always remember, there is going to be one lysis process, one genesis process concerned with these hormones. Okay, so we have just learned few points about insulin. So with respect to insulin, the first important neat question that you must know, it is an hypoglycemic hormone. And how it is going to bring about this hypoglycemic state in the blood is by means of 2 processes. One is glycolysis, another one is the glycogenesis. So that is what is this picture that I showed just few seconds back depicts, right? So we have got insulin, and he has mentioned that there is going to be glucose uptake. Yes, by means of what processes it is going to bring the blood glucose to normal levels? By means of glycogenesis, by means of, here he has given glucogenesis decreased. Okay, so never bother this. By means of 2 processes, it is going to know increase the glucose uptake, or it is trying to utilize, so that those are glycogenesis and then glycolysis. So this picture I just wanted you to appreciate how the insulin is going to act. So it acts on liver, it acts on muscle, it is going to act on the fat cells. Okay, now coming on to glucagon. So glucagon is definitely, now you all know, it is an hyperglycemic hormone, which means whenever there is low blood glucose level, this glucagon is going to come from the source, from the pancreas. It is trying to increase the blood glucose level. So what is the source of glucagon? The source of glucagon is alpha cells. So we just saw 3 cells, right? So glucagon from alpha cells, insulin from beta cells. Okay, so now if you observe this with respect to glucagon, so he has given, see, whenever there is blood glucose, so he has given this Muslim picture, so depicting in case of Ramzan or something. So when we try to fast, okay, so from the pancreas we have got glucagon. I'll try to pull the page bit down. So if you take glucagon from the pancreas, we have glucagon that comes and it is going to stimulate two processes. What are those two processes? We have got glycogenolysis and then gluconeogenesis. So glucagon is referred to as an hyperglycemic hormone, and how it is going to attain an hyperglycemic state is through two processes. So I'll just write here glucagon. So the first important point that you must know is whether it is an hyperglycemic or an hypoglycemic. It is an hyperglycemic hormone. So by what processes it is going to stimulate? By means of gluconeogenesis and glycogenolysis. So what is the concept here? There is decreased blood glucose, right? There is decreased blood glucose, so our body will try to increase the glucose level. So gluconeogenesis, what is the meaning of this gluconeogenesis? Gluconeo, so gluco means referring to glucose, neo means new, genesis means generation. So there is generation of new glucose molecules. Glycogenolysis, so we all know the stored form of glucose is glycogen. So on breaking down the glycogen, I'm going to get glucose back. Okay, so by means of these two processes, I'm going to accomplish the normal blood glucose level. So this is with respect to glucose homeostasis. So to summarize, what you must know or take home is the source, okay, action. These are the two things that you must know. So first one, if you ask me with respect to glucagon, what is the source? The source of glucagon, it is alpha cells. It is alpha cells. So how it is going to act? It is going to be an hyperglycemic hormone. So when I say hyperglycemic hormone, what are the processes that it is going to stimulate? As we all know, we need increased blood glucose now. So by generating glucose, that is gluconeogenesis, or by trying to break down the stored form. So breakdown means lysis, stored form here is glycogen, so glycogenolysis. Now with respect to insulin here, what is the source? Source of insulin, it is beta cells. And if you ask me the action, yes, it is an hypoglycemic hormone. So when I say hypoglycemic hormone, here we are going to have glycolysis, then glycogenesis. So if you just take down this tabular form, it will be easy for you to revise during your exams. Okay, so these are the things that you must know. Now talking about the disorder, not that important for your exams, but for your knowledge purpose, I'll just highlight. So we all know it's a very common metabolic disorder that everybody is facing, right? Even your parents, everybody are taking some drugs for this. What is that? Diabetes. So with respect to glucose homeostasis and all that, we are going to predominantly talk about what is called as diabetes mellitus. Okay, so we have got two types of diabetes mellitus. It's a very big story, so I cannot cover everything here. So for exams, okay, possible question can be what are the symptoms that a patient might complain with diabetes mellitus? Okay, so I'll just try to make it very simple. See, what is the major defect here with respect to diabetes mellitus? There is deficiency of insulin. Okay, let us take it this way. It is not actually deficiency of insulin, either deficiency of insulin, or I can add a point here, resistance to insulin. So we all know obesity is a major predisposing factor for diabetes. So what happens in obesity is, you all know an hormone is going to act by binding to a receptor on the target cell, right? So say for example, in the above picture I just showed for insulin, we have got adipocytes and we have got muscle. So imagine this to be muscle. Okay, just imagine this to be muscle, I'm sorry. And then I just told liver. So the insulin is going to act on all these cells only when it binds to its corresponding receptor. So say suppose all these green color things are the receptors in the corresponding target cells. So only if the insulin, which is yellow in color, is binding to this receptor, we will have an action. What happens in obesity is, these receptors are going to be covered by these fats. Obesity is basically there's going to be excess amount of fat there, It is going to mask or cover all these receptors. So that is why we say resistance to insulin. Okay. So either there can be deficiency or there is going to be resistance to insulin. So what is going to happen as a consequence of deficiency of insulin? There is going to be increased blood glucose level, and I call it as hyperglycemic state. Okay, I call it as hyperglycemic state. So there is hyperglycemic state. So what our body will try to do? It will try to eliminate. It's our first best friend. Okay. So what are things that is possible? Main thing first is polyuria. So it will try to excrete glucose in the urine. Okay, it will try to excrete glucose in the urine, and that phenomenon is called as glycosuria. And what is this polyuria is? The patient will continuously, very frequently, he will urinate. So that is the condition that is called as polyuria. Now, since patient is continuously urinating, he will continuously be in need of water. So he will have continuous thirst. So that phenomenon is called as polydipsia. Okay, you need to remember this. It's very important for your clinical. So all these are some extra edge points. So polyuria, that is going to be increased urination from the patient. Next is polydipsia. Patient is going to continuously drink water. Next, so since he keeps excreting glucose in the urine continuously, he will lose his energy. So he will continuously have a tendency to eat, and that is called as polyphagia. So phage means food, polyphagia, continuous eating. So there are three polys associated with diabetes mellitus: polyuria, polydipsia, polyphagia. And along with that, hyperglycemic I have told. So there is going to be increased blood glucose level. Increased blood glucose level. So with respect to this, you need to know the disorder called diabetes mellitus. There are lots. If you are interested, you can just go and have a reading about diabetes mellitus in any of the medical journals. But for NEET, you just have to know that there is either going to be decreased synthesis or secretion of insulin, or there is going to be resistance to insulin. So when I say resistance, I hope you all got what I was trying to explain by means of resistance. And in diabetes mellitus, there's going to be hyperglycemic condition, and that is going to be characterized by glycosuria, that is presence of glucose in the urine. So what are some common symptoms that we attribute to the patients of diabetes mellitus? Is the polyuria, that is increased frequency of urination; polydipsia, that is going to be continuous water consumption by the patient; then polyphagia, and finally there is going to be increased blood glucose level. Yes, that's a common point that we all know. So with this, we would complete the glucose homeostasis. So you just have to know that tabular column that I mentioned some time back, the source and the actions of those hormones, and then you just have to know something on the disorders. That brings me to the end of this session. Let me meet you on the next session. Thank you all.